We are increasingly seeing sophisticated scams where fraudsters pretend to be someone's bank and trick them into sending across their own money to the fraudster. They now make up 3/4 of all online banking fraud.
And it can happen to anyone, even our North America correspondent, Noel Phillips, who's a sharp cookie, who knows his stuff, who's alert to all sorts of things, but he lost his entire life savings. We're going to chat to Noel, as you can see him there in just a moment. But first, let's find out how the scammers did it to him.
A seemingly harmless phone call like this turned my life upside down.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Phillips.
On the other end of the line were scammers posing as representatives from Chase Bank. They told me my account had been compromised.
I immediately hung up and called back the number, which somehow connected me to my actual bank's customer service.
Please press 1.
But it was actually a trick, where they made the call look as though it was legitimate. Then moments later, they rang back again, and during this time, I received a notification from my banking app informing me of a payment I had not made, which then locked me out of the system.
So I left the house and quickly rushed to my local branch.
I remember walking through those doors, going straight to the desk, talking to the bank staff, whilst at the same time having those scammers in my earphone telling me what to do. And before I knew it, I made a transaction.
But what I'd been told was in fact a lie, one that was so believable, I fell for it and lost my entire life savings, just under $30,000. The fraudsters convinced me that I needed to transfer my money into separate accounts, which they said had my name on it. They then persuaded me that the staff were responsible for the fraud, so therefore I should avoid informing them of what was happening.
The scammer pretends to be someone you trust, because at the end of the day, they want to part you with your money and your personal information.
Christopher is from the Federal Trade Commission, a US government agency which protects consumers.
Just how prevalent are these kind of scams?
Impersonation scams continue to be the most commonly reported scam category. It's the second highest reported loss in just this past year.
Chase Bank contacted me to tell me there was nothing they could do to help recover the funds stolen from me.
These failures happen because of lapses with your systems, and I'm having to pay the cost, literally having to pay the cost for that. This is just unbelievable.
In a statement, they also went on to say banks and legitimate companies won't make these requests, but scammers will. The shame and stigma of being conned is devastating. My only hope now is for these detectives who are investigating my case to catch the people who have ruined my life.
Goodness me. Well, Noel, as you can see, is live with us from New York. And we also have cybersecurity expert Jake Moore joining us in the studio. Noel, goodness me. I mean, I can't believe that you found yourself in this situation, although seeing how it unfolded, of course, I can believe you were caught. How are you feeling about it now?
To be honest, Kate, I'm still in disbelief. I remember 2 weeks ago, I was lying here in my kitchen on the floor, numb, and just refusing to accept that I did something so stupid. I felt embarrassed, I felt ashamed, I felt worthless. And on top of that, the excruciating pain of all of this is the mental trauma. The fact that I often, for the last couple of days, wake up in the middle of the night, pick up my phone, open the banking app, in the hope that this is all some twisted reality. Because how could someone like me, knowing what I do, reporting on stories like this, talking to experts who tell us how not to fall victims to these sort of crimes. How could I fall a victim? How could this have happened to me?
Noel, can I put to you what Chase Bank have said to us about your case and get you to react? They say these types of scams are heartbreaking. We urge all consumers to ignore phone, text or internet requests to move money or gain access to their computer or bank accounts. Banks and legitimate companies won't make these requests, but scammers will. But Chase are not taking responsibility for the part they may have played in this. How do you react to their statement?
The most painful part of that statement is the fact that the bank have turned their back on me and they've said, listen, you've made this stupid mistake, which was an honest mistake, and we can't do anything to help you at all. So they know where the money have ended up. They have the account details, you know, the two individuals where the money was transferred to, or, you know, have accounts with Chase Bank, so they can see the money. But for some strange reason, they have said, because I went into the bank and I did the transfer, there is nothing they can do. And I think it's outrageous that hundreds of people who fall victims to these sort of scams are then left to try and pick up the pieces. There are elderly people who I've spoken to, young people. We often have the perception, don't we, that it's our parents or grandparents who are the victims of these kind of scams. But these scammers, they don't discriminate. They pulled off perhaps the slickest scam on me. I never in a million years thought I would have been groomed, manipulated. I spent over 2 hours on the phone with these people, being passed from different departments, with multiple people telling me that they're investigating my account because my account was under attack. I was then led to believe I was also talking to police officers who were telling me that individuals, employees in my local branch had compromised my details, and that's how my account got hacked. And they completely, you know, also infiltrated my banking app. Before I got the call, I had an alert of fraudulent activity on my banking app, and that's how I think I was able to fall victim to this scam. The fact that I had an alert on my banking app, and then the phone call also came in at the same time.
No, I feel terrible for you, and as you say, you will not be alone. Noel's situation, Jake, is particularly tricky because the laws are different in America. You'd have some more recourse, wouldn't you, here in the UK? Just explain that.
Yeah, so in the UK, luckily there's this new rule since last October that if you are tricked into transferring money or tricked into giving away a one-time passcode, then the banks that are involved have to reimburse within 7 days up to £85,000.
I mean, the statement from Chase, they say banks and legitimate companies won't make these requests, but scammers will. But I've certainly had texts from my bank saying there was a transaction, was it you? So they do contact us, banks in the UK. And the thing about, the reason why these fraudsters are so clever is they know that, you know, for our generation, older generations, we trust banks, like the post office. If they ask us to ring them to do something, we tend to do so. Clearly, that's a mistake, and that's what Noel's fallen for. But do you think, at the moment, the banks are clear enough in what they tell us to do to protect ourselves, and do they sometimes contradict their own advice?
Well, sometimes, but I think this is about understanding how the banks are going to get hold of you. They will text you, they have to get hold of you. But the key message here is to make sure you ring back the number on the back of your card. But we heard how sophisticated it was with Noel.
Not the number you've been given by the
Absolutely not. But sometimes they can spoof the number. So if they ring you and the number, they even ask you sometimes to go and search for that number online and it'll match. But they can fake that number. So to hang up and call back on another phone, because we heard that in Noel's case, they were on the same phone, and then make sure you get through to the fraud department and not to think that they're in on it like they did with Noel.
For lots of people, that feels rude. I know, you know, if I were to say to my dad, you know, but you should hang up and then dial them back, he would say, well, you know, but I can't be rude, it's the bank.
No, they don't
calling me.
mind. In fact, I've done this. An actual occasion happened with me, and I was able to say, do you mind if I call you back on the number that I know? And they said, absolutely fine. They even said I wouldn't speak to the same person, obviously.
So it's not rude to hang up?
Absolutely. They are OK with it, and it's actually
So a
much
real
safer.
bank would understand it.
Totally.
Sean, I've nearly been a victim. I'll talk about that in a moment. But you were a victim a few years back, weren't you?
I actually had to look it up online. I remember talking about it. We talked about it on the programme. So it's 10 years ago now.
God.
I found a holiday villa on TripAdvisor, clicked on the link to email the owner, talked to the owner about the village we were going to be in, worked out all the facilities in the village, all the things, you know, we could hire a car. They told me all this information. They were great. They really felt real. And then I
And you thought you were talking to the owner of the
exactly,
property.
the owner
yeah.
of the property. I transferred the money. It was a bank transfer, which I now know is a no-no. Transferred. It was for me and another family, our family. So it was like 7 of us. It was a big villa, lots of money. And then about a week before we were meant to arrive, I had an email from the police saying you may have been a victim of fraud. And it turns out the email had been hacked of the owner, so the owner didn't know who... We contacted the real owner. They didn't know who we were. We were going to turn up on holiday and be told, actually, you've never booked this... But thankfully, the police got in touch, told us, we lost all that money.
Lost it all.
All the money gone.
No record.
TripAdvisor said it's not their responsibility. It was the owner's email hacked.
I mean, Jake, my story was, and I was actually saved by the programme Traitors, which is yet to air, for an unusual reason to do with that programme. So what happened to me is I was on the runway, ready to fly to the castle, and I got a phone call saying, did you spend nearly £8,000 at Jacksonville Motors at 2 a.m. this morning? And I said, absolutely not. And they said, OK, we thought that was unusual. We've frozen your account. You've been hacked and a victim of fraud. I said, oh, my God, I'm about to take off. And they said, you must immediately contact all your other accounts because they will be linked to this and they will be accessible. And if you give us the details, we'll do it. And I said, well, I'm about to take off, so I can't. And then when we landed, there was a producer there ready to take my phone off me because you have no internet access or phones in that. And they said, we've got to take it off. I said, no, I've been a victim of fraud. And actually, I had some pockets of cash because I was paying off chunks of debt at the time. Normally, there would have been no money to take out of my account. So I was really panicking. And I quickly texted someone at the bank to say, this has happened to one of my accounts. Can you check? And they quickly texted back and said, give me the name of the person, I'll check, because the fraud office operates differently. So it might be true. So they went off to check it. My phone went. When I was allowed, because I was worried by the producers, to make another call, they said it was completely wrong. If I'd given them details of my other bank accounts, they would have emptied it all, and they had indeed done that in that other account. So... So I think I'm the only person in the world to have been saved by traitors. Most people come out in a bad way. But, yeah, but it was so close, and I thought they were so genuine. They had the number, they had the time, they had details of my account already.
They were
and they were saying, do it now, because otherwise this is going to happen to your other accounts.
Yeah, so
I genuinely felt the fear.
Yeah, they're trying to manipulate you. They use all this manipulative language.
Yes.
Fills you with fear.
Gave me a full name, gave me a contact number.
Yeah. And they can find this information out. They'll even know information on you if you've been caught up in a data breach, and then they might know things like your date of birth, maybe even your address. That just adds to it and makes you panic. But the key message really is to not panic. Make sure that you take a deep breath and think about it and don't move any money.
And you are not being rude to your bank if you say, I'm really sorry, I don't know that's you, I'm going to phone you back. And that is the
and phone back not on their number.
Because if you've done nothing there, you will be reimbursed anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
indeed,
no,
Jake.
listen, none of this is any comfort to you, is it? I hope you can keep pursuing it in some way. And, you know, you are such a clever and alert person. I think you're a lesson to all of us that anybody can be tricked.
If you've been affected by any of the issues we've been discussing, you can find advice and support at itv.com/helplines.